Bond. James Bond.
In case I don't see ya. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Did we just become best friends?
Yup! Sublime!
You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Tear me apart, Lisa!
But mostly I hate the way I don't hate you. Not even close. Not even a little bit. Not even at all.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
Hi, friends, and welcome to another episode of You Haven't Seen That, a movie discussion podcast where we introduce our friend Ben to movies he should have seen a long time ago. I'm your host, Amanda.
I'm Geoff.
And I'm Ben.
And today we are talking about The Apartment. And shocking, stick around until the end. We'll be talking about our top 4 fictional apartments.
The year 1960, the month June. The number one song in the United States. A song I've never heard before, or at least I can't recognize off my top of my head. Kathy's Clown by the Everly Brothers.
Nope.
I don't recognize that.
All right.
And I do know a lot of oldies, but
Yeah.
don't recognize that.
Yeah, I was going through the number one songs from 1960. I saw some Elvis. I saw some theme songs from various movies and TV shows, but never heard of this song. Maybe it's one of those where it's like if I play it, it's like, oh, I've maybe heard that before.
Yeah, that could be. Just don't know that. Although Kathy's Clown is a pretty distinct title. You'd think you'd...
Yeah, I think so.
Right?
Or at least have heard that phrase thrown in somewhere. Who knows?
Oh, wait, I do know this song.
Do you really?
I'm just looking at the lyrics.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Sing a little bit, Ben.
I recognize the... I don't think I could sing the melody, honestly.
Right.
Like,
Okay.
I recognize the like, Here He Comes, that's Kathy's Clown. I definitely have heard that.
Oh, interesting.
I'm about to go listen to it.
Yeah, just let me
Anyways.
go on and talk about all of this. In notable news, there wasn't a ton that I found other than Arnold Palmer beat Jack Nicklaus to win his only U.S. Open title. The movie we're talking about today, The Apartment. Bud Baxter is a minor clerk in a huge New York insurance company until he discovers a quick way to climb the corporate ladder. He lends out his apartment to the executives as a place to take their mistresses. Although he often has to deal with the aftermath of their visits, one night he's left with a major problem to solve. Directed by Billy Wilder, this movie stars Jack Lemmon, Shirley MacLaine, Fred McMurray, and Jack Christian. This movie had a $3 million budget, and it grossed $24.6 million at the global box office, which in today's dollars is around $266 million. So, not bad. By comparison's sake, that's about what Sinners made in its theatrical run. So,
Yeah, that's pretty good.
not too bad.
What was the amount in 1960, did you say?
24.6.
That's wild.
I know, right? Crazy. I can't wait to have the whole discussion about salaries and rent pay and everything.
I know.
So a lot of stuff about money comes up in this movie. So this movie finished number 8 at the U.S. box office in 1960. And while there isn't a ton of weekly box office information available, this movie did not finish number 1 the week it came out. Ben-Hur, which was released in late 1959 and won Best Picture, one of the biggest Oscar winners of all time, was still dominating the box office months after it was released. This movie was a critical success with a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 94 on Metacritic, despite
All
those
those people back in 1960.
Exactly, I was about to preface. Those did not exist back then, but I'm sure they've aggregated stuff over time. And this movie was very, very successful awards-wise. This movie went on to win Best Picture at the 1961 Academy Awards. It was nominated for 10 Oscars and won 5. Best Picture, Best Director, Best Original Screenplay, Best Art Direction, aka Production Design, and Best Editing were the ones that it won. And it was nominated for Actor, Actress, Supporting Actor for Jack Christian, who played Dr. Dreyfus, Cinematography, and Sound. And its legacy today is still highly touted. This movie is tied for 54th on the British Film Institute's Sight and Sound Best Movies of All Time, which was last updated in 2022. And as of this recording, it is number 35 in the Letterboxd Top 250.
And it was turned into a Broadway musical.
Thank you, Ben, for being our stage representative.
Called Promises, Promises.
Oh, interesting.
Which was a late 1960s musical that definitely had more of a late 60s vibe to it, especially in the score. It was revived around 2010 with Sean Hayes and Kristen Chenoweth.
Oh, nice. Did it have, do you know anything about it besides that in
I mean,
terms of like its run?
I actually forgot that it was based on The Apartment. I've not seen Promises, but I know some of the songs. Turkey Lurkey Time is a famous song from that. And then when they did the revival, because it's all what's his name? The composer. It's all his music. So they added I Say a Little Prayer for You
Mm.
to the revival that was not in the 1960s version. Why I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on his name. Burt Bacharach, that's it.
Oh, okay.
And then Neil Simon did the book.
There we go.
But the revival in 2010 or whenever that was added I Say a Little Prayer for You because that's a standard from Burt Bacharach's catalog.
Gotcha. Cool. Nice.
Fun. All right. So, Ben, why don't you tell us your history with The Apartment?
In 1960, my dad, in June 1960, right, Geoff? That's when it came out. In June 1960, my dad was about 8 months old, and my mom was in utero. So, no, I had not obviously seen this movie, hence why it's on this podcast, but I did know a fair amount about it. I knew it was well acclaimed. I knew at one point about the Promises of the Apartment Connection, even though I'd forgotten that until I read it again this week. But I knew that it was a popular film. I knew it was a very critically acclaimed film. I did not really know what it was about, though, even because I had never seen the musical. So I did not know the premise, except that it had to do with an apartment.
And what about you, Geoff?
Very similar to you, Ben. I didn't know much about it either. Again, knew it was on all of these lists, knew it was celebrated. I guess my history with Billy Wilder, I guess we'll tie that in. This is my fourth Billy Wilder movie after Sun Like It Hot, Sunset Boulevard, and Double Indemnity. And yeah, I didn't know much about it. I knew who Jack Lemmon was. I know who Shirley MacLaine is. So I was excited when you picked this for us to watch this week on the podcast. And I've loved all of Wilder's works up to this point. I think Some Like It Hot is one of the greatest romantic comedies of all time. And Sunset Boulevard and Double Indemnity are both perfect examples of that sort of 40s dark noir that so perfectly captures kind of the LA mystery vibe that period of time was trying to set. So I was very, very excited to check this one out.
Great. Thank you. And this was a completely blind one for me. I had never heard of it prior to Ben picking it. I didn't know anything about it. I had only seen the cover of the film when I looked it up in Letterboxd. So, Ben, start us off. What is your rating?
I'm very curious what you two thought of this. We have had several classics that we've done, and they have not fared so well on our list, aside from The Godfather, which was
Yes.
one of our top scoring ones of all time. So, but Chinatown and what was the one we did recently?
The Graduate.
The Graduate, yeah. And I just keep picking these old movies, and Amanda's like, you better not have picked another dud. Well, I don't think I did. I really liked this movie. I'm very curious how you two felt about it. I thought it was great. I really, really enjoyed it. I am going to give it a 4.75.
Wow.
My
I love
highest
it.
score of the season.
I was going to ask, is that like your highest score ever?
No, I guess I gave Mrs. Doubtfire a 5, which I hadn't seen before when we did our Geoff Hasn't Seen That month. But this ties The Godfather, Parasite, and Inside Out. Okay. Although I would probably, if I were ranking them, I would probably put it as my lowest 4.75.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I liked it as much as those other ones, but I liked it more than what I've given a 4.5, which is how I arrived at the number. Because I gave 50 First Dates a 4.5, and I like this way more than 50 First Dates.
All right. And what about you, Geoff?
Yeah, so if Amanda had picked me first to say my score, I would have purposely passed it off to both of you, given how I've felt about these classic movies that we've revisited, and y'all have not felt the same way. But yes, Ben, we are perfectly aligned, 4.75 out of 5. I've never not liked a Billy Wilder movie. So sharp, such a great story, an incredible directions that I did not know where it was going to go or how it was going to lead. And I think the chemistry between Fran and Baxter was so great to see on screen. I love the way the story developed, and yeah, just incredible. 4.75.
Here we go.
Oh. No, I really liked it.
I really didn't know. I was like, did she hate it?
I was holding my breath. I was like, oh no.
I really I went into it really expecting to hate it. Geoff can attest before we turned it on. I was like, I don't want to watch this movie.
I'm so tired of Ben picking these old black and white garbage movies.
Yeah, pretty much. So I was definitely not expecting to like it, but I really did. So I gave it a 4.
Love it.
All right.
And this puts it tied for second this season as in terms of our ranking. It's tied with Lilo and Stitch and falls behind Inception.
All right.
That feels right.
Yeah.
The Apartment and Lilo and Stitch. I mean, what more can you ask for as far as classics?
The ideal cinematic trio right there with
Yeah. Okay, so Geoff, you were talking before we started about the money.
Yes.
And how much it would be today. So I did some quick calculations.
Oh, good. You did the
while
math.
we were
Perfect.
talking. Yeah, so he says at the very beginning that he makes $94 a week.
$94.70 to be precise.
Well, yeah, whatever. And that equals that's just over $1,000. So with taxes and everything, he's probably making just under 50,000 a year. That was probably good for back then. I don't know, but
wouldn't be
maybe
good
just
now.
middle of
Couldn't
the
live in
road.
Manhattan now with that.
I was about to say,
Yeah.
I think the salary is fine. It's the fact that he paid $85 a month for rent at an apartment, a block or two from Central Park.
Yeah.
So the $85 is like $912.
Yeah.
Which you could never get in Manhattan now.
I was about to say
Yeah.
the salary is fine. The rent is ugh.
He's spending 1 week's worth salary on his rent every month.
Unreal.
Yeah. So those are the numbers for you.
But 900, if you had an apartment like that for $900 in New York City, now that'd be a real steal.
Yeah. You see those videos that get published on Instagram and YouTube about the tiny apartments and people living in basically shacks in their buildings and I pay $700 a month and it's a closet.
Yeah. I mean, his apartment was cute.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't, but I just mean it's a spacious Manhattan apartment by Central Park.
No, I know.
The amount now would be insane.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. My only complaint about his apartment.
He's a bachelor. He can't decorate it, Amanda.
I'm not talking about that. I'm saying the actual apartment itself, not how it's decorated. My only complaint would be the kitchen. The kitchen was atrociously small.
Yeah,
but I mean, if you're cooking using a spaghetti tennis racket, then obviously you don't spend that much time in the kitchen.
Listen, as somebody who was a bachelor and had a very small kitchen, it don't matter.
Oh, that's fair.
I was about to say, the first dinner we see him eat is basically a TV dinner, plopped in front of his tiny little TV set watching Stagecoach and other movies. And it looks like he doesn't need to prep a lot of stuff. So I think he's fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And at one point he leaves because he's like, the only thing we have is a frozen pizza. So he's definitely got the frozen foods covered.
Yeah. I was about to say, when you live walking distance from everything, I would assume, probably doesn't need to keep as much in stock.
Yeah. Well, and I think probably at that time people didn't in general. I don't think as much either.
That's true.
It was the daily grocery kind of thing and grocery delivery, in the old fashioned sense, like the milkman and stuff like that.
That's true. He did mention at one point he was getting liquor delivered to his apartment. So there you go.
Because there was that was how it used to be, and now I feel like it's starting to be that way again with DoorDash and all that stuff. But there's a long period in the middle where none of that happened.
Right.
Yeah, I was gonna say we can barely get alcohol delivered today. Depends on where you live and all the laws.
Exactly. And plus you gotta deal with fees and tips and all that jazz.
One of the things that struck me, well, first of all, this was such glorious black and white. I just
So
love
beautiful.
the glamour of it and the glamour of the early 60s. And just like, it's like it really like it makes you realize like when you see things set in that era, like that is really what the era was like. Like this is a movie that was made in that time, and it was just, and I'm not saying it represented everybody's life back then, but like it's just so glamorous, like the way people lived and the style they had. And this is like kind of before things got a little crazy in the 60s, and I just that early 60s vibe is such a unique look. But the thing that really struck me was just how adult movies were compared to like TV of that era.
Right?
Like you would never ever see a plot like this on TV in 1960. 0% chance they'd ever even broach this. You were talking about like Leave It to Beaver, and the most
Mhm.
sophisticated show from that era was the Dick Van Dyke Show, which I'd be comfortable with my 2-year-old watching. But it was at least more sophisticated than some of the other comedies at the time. But like it's really, I don't know, it's really interesting to me. Like you've got a story that's about adultery and mistresses and all that kind of stuff, and that was very acceptable in film, but not in TV at that time.
Yeah, it is really interesting. And then when you look at it maybe today, it's like you can reverse it in today's 2025 stuff. Obviously, with the paywalls behind streaming services and everything, it feels
Yeah,
like something like this would be more appropriate for TV than
yeah,
movies. They would almost be maybe scared to even touch this from a movie's perspective. I know for me, when it was first revealed, kind of what the plot was, again, looked up nothing beforehand. This was it caught me off guard just with the idea of it. I was like, this is a crazy concept. What? And then it pulls it off wonderfully. Yeah, it is really curious and interesting to see. And Ben, if you like the black and white in this, man, you would love While There's Other Movies.
I
All
know
look
it makes me want to see
gorgeous.
them. Yeah,
Yeah, this is our
I mean
first.
Sunset I've always wanted to see, and
Yeah, yeah. Double Indemnity is especially gorgeous. That was from 1944, and it looks like $1 million. I saw it at our local Alamo Draft House. They were doing a screening of it a few months ago, and I was able to see it on the big screen, and it looked
oh wow,
stunning.
I bet.
For a movie that's 80 years old, which is insane. But yeah, this is our first like full black and white movie too, and
Yeah.
Hmm.
I am definitely down to do more of them. That's for sure.
Hmm.
So, speaking of the plot, this movie got dark.
Yeah.
did.
Um,
Oh, yeah.
that was a twist I was not expecting.
Oh man. Yeah, we're joking about a lot, or we're displaying and then proceeding to joke about a lot of dark stuff.
I feel like it's interesting because I feel like, you can watch so much more, like we mentioned, like on TV and what content is acceptable on TV and even to some degree movies now compared to them. But like I feel like in some ways, like their conversation, their attitude towards something like suicide was more flippant and not in like a making fun of way, but just in like a, I don't know, like they treated it differently, it felt like. And I
Yeah.
don't really know why or what, like I just feel like these conversations where they talked about that was done in such a kind of matter-of-factly way. Like they weren't making light of it or making fun of it, but they weren't
Hmm.
like treating it with such seriousness that I feel like it has today in most like media that you see that covers that topic.
Hmm. Yeah.
I almost think it's like they're just almost like it's like a generalizing of it. Like today it's treated with more respect because people have different experiences with that as a whole and that sort of topic. And maybe it's almost because they're just like they haven't explored it, they haven't looked into it or whatever. So they're just like, oh, whatever. And maybe in the case like Baxter, where he does talk about like shooting himself in the leg by accident, like for him, like almost that is like a coping mechanism to sort of joke about it, maybe. And to try to brighten the mood for Fran
Yeah.
in her darkest points. So
Seems like people like writers now are more concerned with the themes than maybe
mhm,
they were then to some degree. Like they felt like this was just a conversation, I don't
right.
know.
Hmm.
Yeah, because I feel like back then you didn't worry about maybe catering to like a certain audience per se or being careful about because who knows if you joke about something like that in a movie or a TV show, who knows what gets taken out of context and posted on
Right.
social
Right.
media or whatever, and then your movie's getting torn apart or you're having some studio exec being like, do we really want to talk about this or whatever? So yeah, I don't know.
Hmm. Yeah, they would have taken the clip of him taking the razor out of his razor and him making the joke about, well, not making a joke, but when he was going to open the window and he's like, "Don't get any ideas. You're not going to jump, are you?" And when like the gas was going and he just immediately was like, "Oh, she's trying to kill herself again."
Yeah.
Those would all just be like spliced together. And there'd be
Yeah.
a warning at the end, or not a
Right.
warning,
Right.
but one of those things. If you are experiencing suicidal thoughts, like
Yeah.
call this number. There's help for you.
You did that in a very like TV voice, Amanda.
She's
Thanks.
practicing her Delilah like she did the other week on the
Oh,
podcast.
ew, Delilah.
You sounded
Did you
like
get
the Jet 2 holiday girl for a second. Like she sounded American.
Jeff, have you seen Jack Lemmon or Shirley MacLaine, like young Jack Lemmon or Shirley MacLaine and things? Because I'm pretty sure this is my first time seeing both of them.
Jack Lemmon, the first time I saw him was Some Like It Hot, which I know I've talked
Oh,
about ad
right.
nauseam on this podcast,
Yeah.
so I apologize. And I don't think I've seen him. I'm looking it up now. I don't know if I've seen him or young Shirley MacLaine in anything else, but I will confirm here shortly.
It's just interesting. Like, I feel like I've always thought of Shirley MacLaine as old. So it was interesting to see her, and really Jack Lemmon to some degree too. Grumpy Old Man, and, and it was, I know they were very acclaimed stars at the time, but it's interesting to see them in their
Yeah,
younger
it
years.
it really was. And Jack Lemmon was amazing. Shirley MacLaine too. I'm obviously I'm going to get into Shirley MacLaine in a second because I think she is amazing and just a ball of just a breath of fresh air the second that she shows up on the screen.
Hmm.
But Jack Lemmon's body language and physical acting paired with the line deliveries, the overtop cheery line deliveries are so good, and it's so impactful. I forgot to look up who he lost to at the Academy Awards, but he is so good and entertaining in this movie. Just little details that I was watching every step of the way. He's just always doing something. You can never take your eyes off of him. He is so effective and magnetic in the screen. It's unbelievable. And yeah, Shirley MacLaine plays perfectly off of him. Just a ball of, I don't even know what. Let's just say just a bolt of lightning kind of running through, and awesome to watch in the elevator scenes. They have great chemistry together. You can feel every emotion through her performance throughout, from beginning to end. Just such a perfect pairing as the leads of this movie.
He lost to Burt Lancaster for Elmer Gantry,
Okay.
and she lost to Elizabeth Taylor for Butterfield 8. But it was kind of assumed that Elizabeth Taylor won because she had just gotten over a near fatal bout with pneumonia, and that people thought people thought she got the votes out of sympathy and not deservedness.
They thought the votes were going to bring her back to life. They would heal her.
So confirmed, I have not seen anything before this with Shirley MacLaine. And actually, the more I'm looking into it, I don't think I've actually seen any movies with her other than 2011's Bernie, directed by Richard Linklater, starring Jack Black, which that is a very interesting and fun movie there. So yeah,
And she is still alive.
Still kicking.
Yeah, 91. I always, when I watch like watching like that office scene or not the office party scene, like thinking about like how everybody in this scene is dead or in their 90s.
That's depressing.
Like I was like, it's
Right?
just wild, like how they used, yeah, I don't know.
So let everybody enjoy your office parties because
That'll be you someday,
I know
dead
it
or
was
in your 90s.
I know it sounded darker than I felt like about it when I watched. I just thought it was like interesting to
right.
think about.
You know what's funny too is watching that party, I'm just like, man, this looks tough. I don't know if present me could deal with something like this. Just everybody just crowding on top of each other.
Yeah.
This is an HR person's nightmare. But again,
Not in the
this is-
60s.
Yeah, I was about to say, this is the 50s, 60s. No one cared at this point. There's workplace harassment galore, boozing, people making out like crazy. Y'all don't need to fill out any forms or anything like that for that. Just wild.
I don't know, like, maybe it still occurs, just not. I mean, I work in an elementary school, but this is not going to happen in my workplace. But like, I don't know how much of these parties happen at the workplace anymore, like that. I don't think very often.
Can't
Yeah.
think so. Probably in the last,
Probably
especially
not.
not in the last few years
Yeah,
post COVID.
like they just had such a vibe to them.
Mhm.
Seriously. I'm trying to think for me, yeah, all of my holiday parties as a working adult have all been off site, like away from the
Yeah.
office. They've
Well, I
been
think the whole
wherever.
like getting trashed, you know, is frowned upon at the workplace, which I think is probably why they go to a
Probably.
restaurant or a bar, or they rent out a place or something. But
Yeah, they rent out an apartment. There you go. What an arrangement, by the way. What an idea for a concept for this movie, but also just way to take advantage of the struggling youth who's just trying to make a name for themselves. Just unbelievable the lengths that that man would go to just to get a promotion.
I'm really glad that they explained like the origin of it because as we were going along and then, you realize what's happening, I was like, okay, I need to know the backstory here. And Jeff's like, well, obviously he's just like, letting these guys use it at work. And I was like, no, no, no. Like, how did this start? Like, I need that story. So I was very happy that they did actually tell the story, which wasn't a very exciting story, but I was still happy to know.
it's interesting because I feel like, unlike some of our other recent movies, most specifically older movies, most specifically Chinatown, The Graduate, like there's some dated time period things here for sure that feel a little icky, but it didn't like change my opinion of Jack Lemmon's character. Like I didn't like think poorly of him in the way I did with like Jack Nicholson in Chinatown or Dustin Hoffman in The Graduate. I don't know. I felt like he was a sympathetic character throughout.
I would agree. I think the way I interpret it was that when he first started doing it, yeah, he was sold for his job, sold to his job. He wanted to make a name for himself and look at the office eyes, look at the competing people. Heck, even the guy that he talked to next to him was like, I've been here twice as long as you have, and you're getting a promotion. It's probably super competitive, and you needed to know, especially back then, you needed to know somebody. Everybody could do, relatively speaking, the same thing you can. So you got to get a leg up. And I mean, I could speak about this as somebody who, when he started his career, was basically his job was his personality type. But for someone like that, where it's like he's a bachelor and he's got nothing else going on, that's all he's got really is his job. So if he wants to try to get up in there and make headway in the company, do everything that you can, especially in an age where that was not frowned upon per se, but it would be let go. And heck, think about it. Today, that man, if this was 2025, he'd be writing LinkedIn posts talking about, here's how I got ahead in my company. Let me tell you.
Turned it in my apartment into an Airbnb.
Let me tell you my story. How turning my apartment into a brothel turned me into a CEO.
I will say though, speaking of things that were a little dated, and I don't know. I don't know if this is dated, but the reaction caught me off guard and was interesting. When Baxter was telling Fran that he like looked up all this information on her, was
Yeah.
like, I know your social
Yeah.
security number.
Yeah.
I know
I was
like
like, oh
all
no.
this information. And she just laughed. Like she
Oh,
was
I know.
like,
Yes.
ah,
Yeah.
you're so funny. And I was like, red flags, red flags all around. That is not okay, sir.
Yeah, that's fair. I did note that as well.
Trying way too hard, man. I wrote that down in my notes. I was like, oh, buddy, you are, buddy boy, you're trying so hard.
Yeah.
The other thing along those lines for me was the slapping to wake her up.
Oh
Oh my
my
gosh.
It's like,
gosh.
what's with the slapping again?
And I looked at Geoff. I was like, it's Chinatown all over again.
Granted, there was the element of trying to save her life piece of it, but
I
it was
guess
not
I was
there in
like,
Chinatown. But
is this the actual medically appropriate way to try to
that's
save
what I
someone?
mean, 60s medicine was a lot different, I think.
Smelling
But
salts, a couple
don't
slaps,
know if
more
that was in the
salt,
manual back then or not.
Yeah.
slaps, trying to shove some hot coffee down her throat.
Amanda and I were talking about it earlier because I was making the comment about the line that Dr. Dreyfus says at the end of the movie where he's like, oh, I didn't do it as a doctor, I did it as a neighbor when coming to save her life. And Amanda was like, yeah, because all he did was just slap her around and pour coffee down her throat. He didn't really do anything medically.
Besides giving her the shot, that was like the
Yeah,
medical thing he did and like making her throw up.
it was more battle pay than anything.
Yeah, I was very taken aback by the slapping again. And I was like, can we not like he just kept doing it. He would stop for a minute and then he would do it again. And I'm like, can you not, please?
Amanda was like, bingo, I got it on my old movies bingo card.
A man unnecessarily slaps the crap out of a lady just because. I guess it's not just because in here, but
Yeah.
Oh, insane.
still a little uncalled for, I think.
It felt bad too because I was definitely like laughing to myself, but I'm like, I don't know if I should laugh at this because this is so ridiculous. But I don't know, it didn't turn me off from the movie. I thought it weirdly worked in that scene, and maybe that is what you did back in 1959.
I'd like to give a few shout outs, if I may, at this time, that there was a good number of sitcom actors present here. So, Sheldrake was Fred McMurray,
Mm-hmm.
who was on My Three Sons for 12 years, the lead character on My Three Sons. Ray Walston, who played Joe, the PR manager, was on My Favorite Martian in the 60s. And then David White was although I believe he's wait, no, I have the wrong person. Hang on.
I will say, I'll
Oh yeah.
sneak.
Yeah, Mr. Yes, sorry. David White was Mr. Eichelberger. He was Larry Tate on Bewitched.
Oh, there you go.
So I was like, all my 60s actors are here.
There
And I
you
was
go.
about to say Fred McMurray stars in Billy Wilder's Double Indemnity, so he shows up
Oh, okay, there you
in a
go.
previous movie. So there you go. If you want to pair it,
Fun
that's
fact
interesting.
about My Three Sons, because he wanted to continue his film career, he'd just been in this and obviously other things. When they filmed My Three Sons, they would do, back then sitcoms did like 30 to 35 episodes a year.
Hmm.
Um, he had in his contract that he would film all of his scenes for the entire season first over like a 2 to 3 month period. And then the cast would reconvene and do all the rest of the scenes. So you'd have an episode like that could have had scenes filmed like 6 months apart just because. And these were like with kids and growing boys. So like it was very noticeable at times just so he could continue to be a movie star while he did his little sitcom.
Wow.
Jeez, unreal.
Talk about getting what you want, I guess.
I know. And now in today's day and age, you can't get away with that. You're blocking off your schedule for whatever,
Oh
or you're
yeah, I don't
getting
think that would
signed
be
off.
like I can't. That'd be so hard narratively too. I feel like
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh,
trying to. I
absolutely.
mean, I know they film out of order to this day about a lot of things, but still, like that's pretty extreme. That's a pretty extreme case of that.
Oh, definitely. Especially for sitcoms there where with the storylines and whatever. I'm trying to think
Yeah.
even today, like I'm thinking of immediately for some reason I thought of now I don't know how this show was filmed, but I thought of The Last of Us season 2 especially with Pedro Pascal's character Joel and how he spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. I mean Amanda doesn't care, but he's only in the first 2 episodes and then shows up again right near the end in a
Yeah.
flashback. So it's it must have been maybe a similar case because I know this past summer Pedro Pascal was in a lot of movies that came out, so he's doing a lot of projects there all at once. So maybe there was some timing kind of slipped in there, but yeah, that's the only sort of modern comparison I could even think of
Yeah.
to a case like that.
It definitely does happen, and I think it's happened more with shorter seasons and actors being spread thin, like you said, Jeff.
Hmm.
Um, but to do like, yeah, do like 30 episodes basically twice is
Yeah,
kind of wild.
seriously, oh, that would throw me off so much. It's like,
Yeah.
especially if
Not
you're
that
like
sitcoms
acting
had
to
like through lines as much back then, but
right. Still, exactly.
one other fun fact, this is a movie I liked, so I was doing a lot of reading and
Please, yes.
but so like the scene in the office where you see all those people at the desks, and I can't even imagine working in a place like that. But I guess it was filmed and the art director used forced perspective for desks, and in the back were children sitting at the desks
Oh,
to make it like, the depth of it kind of thing.
That's
huh.
funny.
Um,
Interesting.
Yeah. It
Now I kind of
said
want to
the
look at
set
like a
appeared to be a
still.
very long room full of desks and workers, but successively smaller people and desks were used, ending up with children. And there's actually a little video that zooms in, showing it.
I believe it.
Um,
Oh, wow. That's fascinating. Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do, I suppose.
yeah.
One thing I did want to know about this movie, it's a Christmas movie. like 1,000%. This would join like the Christmas movie canon.
Could definitely make the argument.
Yeah, I think it plays a vital role in the story. My man's out here buying $15 hats on account of his promotion, which I just looked that up. He bought a $165 bowler hat. So
Okay.
in today's dollars, good for him. But yeah, I mean, it's a huge central part to the story. The whole Christmas idea with going out to the bars and decorating for his apartment and the office parties and everything. So yeah, this, if you need a maybe a non-traditional Christmas movie, this is absolutely one that fits your canon.
And so much New Year's stuff too, which is not
Big time.
frequently.
Absolutely.
I
That
will
plays a
say,
big role, yeah.
I have one small, tiny little beef with the movie.
Uh-oh.
Go ahead.
I think they probably could have shaved some time off of this.
That's fair.
Yeah,
It
when
was a
we
little
actually
long.
got towards the end, I just felt like the middle got to be a little bit of a slog in places, and I just think they could have tightened things up and
Yeah.
maybe shaved off like 15, 20
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah,
I don't think
probably
that's
stuff
an
in the apartment.
unfair argument.
No, I don't think so either. Especially in the apartment after Fran, this is
Hmm.
on Christmas Day. You probably could have cut a little bit or at least shown. And this is obviously hindsight, but maybe if in like today's modern technology, maybe there is more shown with like the score playing and them just like silently conversing and maybe having like a period of time where it's changing and you don't need to get into every single detail about the gin rummy game. But I mean, to me, I didn't mind personally just because I was so enraptured by the two main characters. I'm like, yeah, I want to spend more time with them. Like, this is cool. This is fine. But I definitely get what you're saying, Amanda.
Yeah, yeah. I don't even know if it's necessarily. I think a little bit of it is them in the apartment, but I think some of the things that happen after that too, it just kind of got to a point where I was like, okay, like how is this
Yeah.
going to wrap up?
I felt like maybe for me, like where they could have cut was I felt like we got the point of the other guys besides Sheldrake using the apartment.
Mm,
I feel like I got it
Mm,
quickly. Like I was like,
yeah.
okay,
mhm.
like he does this to multiple people in the company who are higher up. Like I think it was
Yeah.
very important to have Sheldrake's stuff happen as it
Hmm.
did. But I felt like I got the premise of what he was doing with the apartment. I didn't need to see it happen that many times with that many people. Like you said, Jeff, maybe some kind of montage or something would have um
Mhm.
accomplished the same thing.
And I think it was so effectively done at the beginning of the movie when he's going through his schedule and he's
Yeah.
rearranging things. Like
Yeah, and
that
when he's like calling them and stuff, that was very
that was
effective.
perfect. That was
Yeah.
so effective and
Yeah.
so good that yeah, that was all we really needed to cover and then show what they're doing in the office. But yeah, I don't know. I think it maybe was used as a way to showcase the stresses that he's just been going under and it's building and building and building to a point where he just breaks and he's like, I quit. But yeah, no, I agree with what you're saying. I already understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
One thing about this movie that I needed to point out is just what was told without words and how impressive it was. This is we're in a day and age where Netflix is encouraging directors to hey overwrite your scripts because people are looking at their phones the whole time. So much of this movie is told so effectively without the use of words. The scene
Yes.
that obviously comes to mind is the mirror when he breaks out the mirror to or Fran shows Baxter his the mirror just to get a look at his face and make sure that the hat looks okay. The look of sadness in his eyes is so incredibly well communicated without a single word. And it's my gosh, it was so good. It made me like freeze in my seat a little bit because I was like, my gosh, this is so effective. In the bar where he's depressed and having all of his martinis, you know he's drunk because there are eight olives on toothpicks sitting there on the table. You don't need to see anything else. You don't need a montage of it. It's like boom, it's so perfectly told right there. And then the scene towards the end of the movie where he's talking about having a date with a girl as Fran is leaving the office to go back home and he walks past the girl as the other woman as she is going to meet somebody else and he's going to like the store or whatever again so effective and so much done without words in a way that could not really be done today, especially for a movie like this, which is so quote unquote small that it would be relegated to a streaming service. And they would have to be over communicated, over explained the entire time. So incredible blocking, just so much said with this movie.
And not only that, but on Fran's part too. Like when Baxter kind of drops some bombs of information when they're chatting in his office, and you
Yeah.
can tell like her world's been completely like thrown upside down and he has no idea, but like you can see the shift in her.
Yes.
And then at the end when what's his name? The boss guy?
Sheldrake?
Sheldrake. When Sheldrake and Fran are talking and he's also dropping information that he doesn't even realize, but it's completely changing everything for her. And you can just see the shift on her face and he's completely oblivious to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's just not something you see nowadays.
I think. Oh, go ahead, Geoff.
No, one last thing I did want to point out is the scene at the restaurant when Fran and Geoff, shout out to Geoff's, are getting their dinner and she's about to leave with him. And then the party of four comes in. And at first I didn't recognize who the party of four was, but as they're walking away, it was Sheldrake's secretary. And you see her put her glasses on, like even a little detail like that, where it could be just like some random person, but then it's like, that could just be mixed in with anybody else. And then whoop, on come the glasses. Man, it was so good. So well timed. So this movie is impeccably directed and staged.
And I think those are really great points you guys are making. And I just think it goes back to how much, part of it's societal. And like you said, Geoff, like with Netflix, like people are second screening all the time. Nobody was second, the only way people were seeing this movie in 1960 was in the theaters. They weren't watching it at home. But they just, they used to trust the audience more to fill in the gaps themselves. And I wish more movies felt comfortable doing that today.
Yeah, it's hard to do that. It's hard to really, really know.
Yeah. Well, does anyone have any final thoughts?
The other thing I was going to mention was I have been to the Majestic Theater a couple times.
I was about to ask if you you thought how you thought that Music Man would have
back
gone
then, which shout out, good show. Come see our production of it in the spring. But that was where Phantom played for decades, and then I saw Gypsy there this past summer.
Nice, yeah, I've been there to see Phantom. So, how do you think the that night show the Music Man went? That he went. I don't know how the run went in the 50s or 60s. So
it's it was a big, huge hit at the time.
Right.
Famously beat West Side Story for the Tony.
Did it really? I guess that makes.
But I wondered. I didn't look this up, but like it looked like it was filmed there. Like it looked like it was filmed in front of the Majestic Theater. But I don't know that for sure.
Who knows? Maybe.
Yeah, poor man's battling the worst cold of his life, still standing outside and everything. Man, brutal. Even back then, you can't go back, inside and then outside again to give somebody a ticket.
Yeah, did make me anxious seeing him in an office building with that many people while he was very sick.
That's just your post-COVID mentality, Amanda.
No, I know.
Oh yeah, him standing right next to Fran as he's like sniffling and navigating the elevator, just like.
And she's just like, "It's fine." I'm like, okay, cool.
Whatever. I never get sick. Oh, one last thing. Buddy Boy is so belittling. Them keeping on using that over and over again, man, that would make me so mad. Oh, brutal.
Well, they did do some filming in New York City, so I'm guessing that was there.
There you go.
Yeah.
They filmed like Central Park was in Central Park. Yeah, I mean the main sets of the office and the apartment were in Hollywood, but they did do some location shooting for some stuff. So I'm gonna guess that was the actual location.
Good for them. All right. Geoff, do you want to give us your movie recommendations this week?
Yeah, I will. So, the three movies I'm going to recommend. The first one is a Billy Wilder movie. I've said it multiple times on this podcast, but please watch the movie Some Like It Hot, featuring Jack Lemmon, Tony Curtis, and Marilyn Monroe. Incredible rom-com from Billy Wilder. Very, very funny. It's another plot line that, when you look back on it, it's like, really? It's about two guys who have to dress as women to escape the mob. And so they travel from Connecticut area down to Florida with an all-girls orchestra to play in a band. on its surface, you're like, wait, that movie works? It works. Trust me. It's hilarious. It's sweet. It's a very, very good movie. The second movie is an apartment movie. I was having trouble trying to find a recommendation, and I was talking about apartment movies or like movies based on apartments, and Amanda was like, well, why don't you just pick that kind of topic? And I was like, that's it. Genius. I'm going to go with Rear Window. Total opposite direction of this movie in terms of genre, but features a movie primarily filmed in an apartment where Jimmy Stewart is stuck in a wheelchair because he broke his leg, photographing doing photography work, I believe on a safari, and so he's snooping on his neighbors and he spots a murder. So it is very, very effective for really only taking place in one room. It is a very, very good movie. Cannot recommend it enough. And then the last one is...
I have seen that one.
Have you? Perfect. Amazing. There we go. And then the last one is just crazy rom-coms with plot twists, like the Sheldrake plot twist with Fran. I never saw that coming. Crazy Stupid Love. And I know it's a movie that it's on our list to watch later on at some point, so I won't go much further, but it's a funny rom-com with some crazy twists. So Crazy Stupid Love is my third recommendation.
Great. Thank you. And Ben, what are our TV recommendations?
All right. So I have one TV recommendation and one musical recommendation. And the musical is not... No, it's not Music Man or Promises. I'm going to do the musical recommendation first, which is How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying.
Oh, I like that.
Which is very much about a corporate climber going to any means necessary. It's set in the 60s, set in an office. In fact, the entire show, I believe, takes place in the office. And he does not loan out his apartment to mistresses, but he does a lot of kind of shady, underhanded maneuvers to climb the corporate ladder. It was I believe a Pulitzer Prize winning musical back in the 60s, and then had a revival of Daniel Radcliffe around the same time as the Promises revival. But the TV show that this made me think of by far was Mad Men.
Yes.
I mean, it's New York City, it's 60s, it's adultery, it's office parties, it's questionable morals, like you name it, Mad Men's got it, especially the early episodes, which are very much set in the early 60s vibe that this movie has, and in the corporate vibe that this movie has. It gets a little bit, as it gets deeper into the 60s as the show continues, kind of expands itself a little more, but very much a kind of a scathing critique of that era. My all-time favorite drama, so I'm going to recommend it anytime chance I get. But it's certainly, like, vibe-wise, like there are definitely office Christmas parties. There's definitely things that very much capture that era, but from a modern perspective and lens.
Great. Thank you. All right, let's move into our top 4. So today we are doing fictional apartments. I don't think this one needs any explaining of why we picked it.
And I didn't mess it up like the birds. I think I got the topic this time.
All right, Geoff, give us your list first.
All right, so my list is exclusively movies, and I'm pretty sure all of these, except for one of them, I think all of them are in New York. So I do have some honorable mentions. I know I haven't had many honorable mentions the last few of these lists, so I've got a few here. I did include this apartment, but I think just because of what this apartment is used for, I don't think I would love living there per se, not knowing what I'd find. I did include the apartment from Rear Window in my honorable mentions list, and I think it seems spacious enough for a guy in a wheelchair to not go crazy, but also you got the weird neighbors. I don't know how you feel about that. And then the final honorable mention is Rosemary's Baby. And again, gorgeous looking apartment and building, but again, I'm not digging the vibe in that sort of area and whatever. So I think it'll just be an honorable mention. Number 4 is another Alfred Hitchcock apartment. It's called Rope. Rope is a innovative movie, also featuring Jimmy Stewart, from 1948, that is essentially a one-take movie over 80 minutes. And in the 40s, how can you pull off a one take? It's crazy. I don't know how they did. I mean, obviously, it was one of those where it's like, oh, we zoom in really close on something and then zoom back out after 15 minutes, and that's a cut. But a really interesting concept about two college students who murder somebody and hide the body in their apartment. Now, here's the thing. I just talked about why I wouldn't want to stay at all of these other apartments because of murders and due dealings and whatever. But, like, this is a nice looking apartment. It's got good views. And sure, there might be a surprise where I look, but I don't know. It just seemed like a one-time sort of thing. So I'm going to put The Apartment from Rope at number 4. Number 3 is The Apartment from Eyes Wide Shut. Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman's place. Looks really nice. I dig it. In New York City, nice Christmas setting. I dig it. Like their little house or their little, Christmas tree in there and everything. Seems like a good place to live if you, like to live in an apartment in New York City. Number 2 is my only non-New York City one, and that is Bruce Wayne's penthouse in The Dark Knight. It looks very modernish. It looks very swanky. It's big enough to have a massive party. So, it's got everything you need. Hidden compartments for your bat suit. Easy entry to a garage for all your bat gear. Seems like a pretty sweet gig. I'll take it. And then number 1 is The Apartment from Big Daddy. Looks like a real fun place to live, especially for a kid who is run away from home and not going back home and everything like that. So yeah, Adam Sandler's got a nice place there. So those would be my top 4 fictional apartments.
I'm not trying to yuck your yum, but like, ew.
What?
To the Big Daddy apartment.
Whatever. It looks sick.
It's so industrial looking.
Whatever. It looks fun.
Yeah, maybe fun for a kid.
Yeah, and an adult.
An Adam Sandler-esque adult.
You're talking to one right here. Duh.
I said I'm not going to yuck your yum. You
Okay,
like
thanks.
what you like.
Thanks.
All right, Ben, hit us with your list.
All right. So mine are exclusively TV apartments. So nice compliment to Jeff's list here. I didn't even honestly think of if I had any movie ones I wanted to put on this list, to be honest.
So here's
I'm so shocked.
I very intentionally picked a list of all movies just because I knew Ben, you were gonna go with the all TV, and then Amanda, I figured you'd be mostly TV. So I was like, I'm gonna change it up here a little bit, but I would be lying if I didn't say that I did initially think of TV apartments.
I do think it lends itself to TV more in some ways.
It does.
Like
Yes.
it's, because movies can be a little more expansive and tend to be. So my honorable mentions, I have The Loft from New Girl. Great place to play true American. The Ricardos' second apartment on I Love Lucy. They went from a smaller apartment with no window in the living room to a larger one with a window once little Ricky was born. And then eventually they ended up in a Connecticut house towards the end of the series. But the second one was definitely the nicest one of the 3. Well, the house is nice too, but of the apartments, definitely the nicer one. And then my third honorable mention is the Wisemans or Midge Maisel on Mrs. Maisel. That was one of those like huge apartments that were like up by Central Park. But it's like one of those ones that have like the really narrow, long hallways and then all those rooms coming off of it, which I think would be interesting. I don't know. I feel like I might get claustrophobic in something like that, but I don't know how claustrophobic you get because there are a gazillion rooms, but it's just like the layout is very unique to big city kind of living, but big city with a lot of money, which will never be my life. Okay, so my top 4. Number 4 is Fraser Crane's apartment in Fraser. Gorgeous view of Seattle out the window, a really nice open layout. Very, very classy, very meticulously decorated, as you would expect from a high cultured person like Mr. Crane. And of course, Martin's old dusty chair mixed in with all this swanky, beautiful furniture and decorations. My number 3 is Monica Geller's apartment on Friends, famously way nicer than anybody could afford, who was on that show. The characters, that is, not the actors, because the actors certainly could afford it. But they do mention in the finale something about rent control. So I think they recognized over the years that was like so very clearly a TV set and not the kind of apartment you'd find in New York City. But it's a really gorgeous, fun apartment and iconic, of course, for that show.
Side note, when I was doing research on this, someone had priced out like famous
Oh,
TV apartments, and they estimated the Friends one to be $5,100 a month.
yeah. And Monica is a chef. And Rachel
like
bouncing
barely
between
works.
jobs like an assistant. Not gonna get you that money.
No.
You wanted to pick that over Joey's and Chandler's
Yeah.
from across
Joey's
the
is
way?
nice too. I mean, they kind of go hand in hand. I almost
Okay.
thought about just listing them together, but
No, Monica's is nicer.
it
No,
is
Monica's
nicer.
for sure.
Number two is, speaking of Mad Men, Don Draper's apartment in the later seasons of Mad Men, which is Upper West Side, gorgeous, looking over by Central Park, and very swanky later 60s vibe that he moves into, where he has his very questionable decisions that he makes in his life. But it's a really, really gorgeous place to make such decisions. And then number one for me is Mary Richards' apartment from the Mary Tyler Moore Show in Minneapolis. And that has been a favorite of mine since I was a kid. It's not very big, but it's a very uniquely decorated and unique layout. Like her couch turns into her bed, and her living room is her bedroom, and it's the only set you ever see. Small little kitchen, but it's very unique, a very unique layout. She leaves that to go to a different apartment in season 5 of the 7 season run of the show, or maybe beginning of season 6. And the show is never the same once she moves out of there. You lose it's part, like, it's the second floor of a house, and then her friend Rhoda lives upstairs in kind of the attic-ish area, and her other friend Phyllis lives on the ground floor. It's always been a place I wish I could just like visit and sit in and live in for a short time. I wish it was one of those apartments that has gotten recreated. Like you can go and sit at the Ricardo apartment at the Lucy Museum in Jamestown, New York. But you can't, nobody's done that with the Mary Tyler Moore Show set, and I wish they would. So that's been my favorite apartment for forever on TV, and that is my number one.
Nice. You could do it, Ben. You can make it.
I'll dedicate my retirement to that.
You'd curate the heck out of that.
Charge
But then nobody will
$100.
even care about I'll be like the only one who cares about the Mary Tyler Moore Show at that point.
All right, good list. Mine is a mix of movies and TV. However, I will say my movies were in my honorable mentions and all the rest were TV. So, but like you said, Ben, I feel like it makes more sense because they leave more of an impression because of how much time you spent in them.
Yeah.
So my first honorable mention, I haven't actually seen this movie, but I did read the book and I've seen like screenshots, so I know it's immaculate. But the apartment of Christian Grey from the 50 Shades of Grey franchise. I mean, he's rich, okay? Like he's got a lot of money. And I remember when I read those books just being like, dang, that apartment sounds nice. So even though I didn't see the movie, I know it was a nice apartment. And then my second honorable mention is Mia Thermopoulos's apartment from The Princess Diaries, which is an honorable mention because I don't feel like I really like it now as an adult. But when I was a kid, I was like, heck yes. I mean, she has like a spiral staircase in her bedroom, and like I'm like, who doesn't want that? The coolest. Nowadays, I'm like, that's not really my style, but sure. So my number 4 is similar to Ben's list, Jess's apartment or loft in New Girl. I don't know where all these are located, or most of them are located.
That's
so
LA.
Whatever. It's fine. In LA. I don't really want to live in LA, but I like her loft. It seems very, I don't know, it seems like a nice size. And it's got a lot of open windows and everything. So I like it. My number 3 is Sherlock's apartment in Sherlock. It's not super big, but it just looks very British and very cozy. It's like that warm wood, and he's got a lot of books everywhere and like a fireplace. So it just feels like it would be a very cozy place to be. My number 2 is Ted and Marshall's apartment, which then becomes Marshall and Lily's apartment eventually.
I knew that was going to be on your list.
I mean, it's just, I love it. I love that apartment. And my number 1 is Barney Stinson's apartment because he has the more high-tech fancy apartment. So I want his most of all. I actually joked about making my entire list be How I Met Your Mother because there's so many different apartments. Like we could do Marshall and Lily's apartment that they bought with the slanted floor. We could
I was just
Robin's
thinking of that.
apartment. We could do Ted's apartment after he gives the original apartment to Lily and Marshall. There's so many different apartments to choose from.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, that brings us to the end of our discussion on the apartment. Join us next week. We'll be doing a mini episode, a little something to start our October. And then we will be kicking off into spooky season. And we're starting off by watching It. So be sure to tune in for that 2 weeks from now.
Amanda will definitely watch at least half of it.
You'll float too. You'll float too.
I'm really going to try to get through the whole thing.
You got this, babe. I'll be right there by your side.
I saw a clip recently. This is like a tangent. Okay, Ben. I saw a clip recently of the actor, I forget, one of the Skarsgårds that plays Pennywise, right?
Bill Skarsgård. Yeah.
So I saw a bunch of clips of him like from set when they originally like made the movie and how he would like have to scare the kids and then immediately would like be out of character and be like, are you okay? Like, was that okay? But he, be in his scary makeup. And I was like, okay, maybe this will help me watch it. Just know that he was a good guy. Anyways, that was a side tangent. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving us a rating or review and follow us on all our social channels. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see y'all next week.
To infinity and beyond!
Why so serious?
I am serious. And don't call me Shook.
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
I said it before and I'll say it again. Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.